Yeah. You know who else? Cats.
Yeah, Klein said it. All right, good morning, everybody. Today is I think Daf Nun Vav in Ksuvas. So we discussed yesterday at the end regarding I think it was Umdana, what when a person adds to the standard ksuba. By standard ksuba is 200 for a basula, a 100 for an almana. And the guy wants to add additional funds, so is he adding? So and then all of a sudden the ksuba has to be paid out after eris and before nisuin. So was the intentions for it to go ahead and to be paid at any time, or was it only badafka that the husband had in mind? You know, you live with me in my house in nisuin, and therefore the tosefos would not have to be paid. At that point, if there was never a full nisuin, so what was his, what were his intentions? So, that's based on Umdra and Rabbi Elazar Mazaria. And questions were, so he wanted the chiba, so the love, so maybe the love doesn't even come from the nisuin, maybe it's for the agreeing of the erisin. So, Yosef, 4 lines from the top, on Nun Vav Amud Aleph. And away we go. Yosef Rav Chanina. Kame de Rabbi Yana v'kamar halach Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah like Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, who said that you don't have to give the additional the tosefes if there is no nisuin. So halach is like him. Thank you very much. And Amalei hu krai karecha lebara. No, get out of you want to say this halach is like him. Go outside the base medrash because it's not correct. Ein halach Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. And Amar Rav Yitzchak bar Rav Dimi Mishum Rabbeinu halach Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. So Machlokes, he said no, the halach is like Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. And Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Shmuel, halach Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Rav Nachman Nidei Amar ein halach Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. The halach is not like him. Benahardia Mishmei the Rav Nachman Ami halach Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. The Afagav the lot Rav Nachman the Amar, even though Rav Nachman used to go out and basically curse the name of Amar Kol Daina the Doin Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Right, whichever judge goes ahead and paskins like Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, right? So and so will happen. In other words, the wrong, afilu hachi, nevertheless, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, bahalacha lamaisa, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. The halacha is like Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, who says that if there is no nisuin, it's just erisin, then the tosefes, the extra funds do not have to go ahead and be given. Also, she does not collect that. Fine. Boy, Rabin. So Rabbi has a question. So we said before the purpose was for the nisuin. So what aspect of the nisuin? If he was nichlas al chuppah, which is nisuin, however, did not have the opportunity to consummate the marriage. Mahu, what is the halach there? Chibas. Chuppah kaina, is it the love that all he wanted was the love for and the connection for the chuppah which occurred? Achibas bia kaina, or is it the chibas of the bia of the relations? So Tashma, come listen to Tani Rav Yosef shalei kasava ela al chibas laila harishon. Right. So Rav Yosef when explaining the shita, so he says he only wrote the tosefes for the chibas laila harishon. Right. For the closeness of the first night. So if you say it's the chuppah itself, that kaina hanidamar laila rishon. That's why it says laila rishon the first night. Eli amarta chibas bia kaina bias b'laila rishon isa mekan ve'elech lesa. Right, there is no the beer rishona is only occurs in the first night and not comes afterwards. There's many times where it comes afterwards. So ve'elamai chuppah. What are you going to say? It's chuppah. Chuppah b'layla isa b'yamam b'lesa. But it says over there the first night. So what? Chuppah only occurs at night and not during the day. You look tamechan according to you. Bia b'layla isa b'yamam b'lesa. Bia can only occur during the night, right? The first night, not during the first day. Ha marava imayav b'veis eifel mutter. If it was a dark house, we mutter. So it's la kasha. Arachar kamashalan. It's come to teach you the normal way. The bia b'layla. So Ella Chuppah Kasha. Okay, if that's the case, then Chuppah is a Kasha. According to that Shita, why say Laila? So Chubbanami like Kasha came in the stam Chuppah Labia Kaima, since the normal the normal derech is that the Chuppah leads to the Bia Rishona. Arechara Kamashwan comes to teach you something, the Belaila by the Belaila that occurs at night. So still, Tushita's question wasn't really answered. So Rav Ashi nichnas al chuppah appears a nida. If they entered the chuppah, but then she gave a nida. Even if you say that the chiba of just the chuppah itself can acquire the tosefes, the additional funds that were given over for the ksuba, so is it chuppah dechaz tilabia? Is it only something chuppah which is fitting for bia? In other words, where she's not a nida. But if she's a nida where she cannot go ahead and have bia rishena, maybe that would work, or a double shna, or maybe it doesn't make a difference what type of chuppah, as long as the chuppah is roy the bia or not roy the bia. So let's say during or before, right? She came into, she wasn't at the time of the nesuin itself. So our answer is with a take. Fine. So that was that machlekes. Now there was another machlekes from the first Mishnah of the parak, which is on Nundal Beis. So over there, the next case was, if he wants to go ahead, she's like, look, I just want to get married. I don't care about the ksuba. So he says, okay, sounds good to me, right? Wow. So instead of making the ksuba 200, let's make it a 100. So instead of writing 100, says Rabbi Yehuda, go ahead, write one for ksuba for 200. And then give her a receipt, or she'll give him a receipt that says, I already received 100 of it. All right? Or, if it was 100, you give a receipt that says 50, right? So that was one shita. And Rabbi Meir says, is that to prove that she's not a Pasulah? That's why she has to write 200. No, because that's the standard. That's the standard. That's the takana, and therefore the takana is that the ksuba has to be written. But even if you don't want to do it, so just write a receipt on the side. In other words, you can't just write your ksuba is 125 or whatever you want, amount you want. Rameir says no, that you shouldn't even do that either. He says if he gives less than 200, so we have to really understand it's machlokes between Rameir and Rabbi Yehuda. Back in the Gemara, the Gemara in the middle of the wide lines, 2 dots. Rabbi Yehuda, if he wants, go ahead and write a receipt. Rabbi Yehuda, the kaisvin shayber. Does Rabbi Yehuda hold that one could write a receipt? Now, there's 2 ways for things to be payments to be made. So let's see. Tonight we learned in the Mishnah. Mishnah makes us chayva. If I went ahead and I borrowed $200 from Eddie, and I said, okay, Eddie, here's $50. I got $50 to pay you. I still owe you $150. So Rabbi Yehuda, Aimer, Yachlif, go ahead, tear up the shtar that says that I owe you $200, and we'll write in the shtar that says I owe you $150, right? Because I just paid you $50. And Rabbi Yaisi, Aimer, Yichtav L'Shayber. Rabbi Yaisi says, Eddie, hold on to that $200 shtar, and I'll just give me a receipt that you received $50 from me. So we see Rabbi Yehuda does not say write a receipt. So Rabbi Yirmiyah, so Rabbi Yirmiyah gives the first heres. No, the shayber is on it. What's the reason why he's not writing a receipt? A receipt might get lost. So in the case with Eddie, if I lose a receipt, he can still collect 200. So what do? On the loan document itself, we write, Eddie writes, I received on today's date, August 31st, $50. So therefore, when he presents that receipt or that loan document to collect, right, he can't collect 200 anymore because on the loan document itself it says I already paid him 50. Even if there is no receipt upon it, right? Even though the receipt upon it, there is a receipt. So Bishlam Asam Badai Pare Dilma Mirchas Tavros of Mabik Shtar of other Gavisim Afrina. Over there, in the case of the loan, so I actually paid you the $50, and if I lose the receipt, I got to pay $200 again, so it's going to cost me $250. However, Hacha right? He over here, right? She never received any of the ksuba. It wasn't that. See, Natra Natre, Elo Natre, and Elo Natre, who does it Natre? And if he's the one, now what's the big deal? He loses the receipt. Okay, so if he loses the receipt, he lost it for himself. And even though she says you don't have to go ahead and give it, but the mice, he's not paying more than the 200. She was trying to be nice, and so therefore, you want this favor. Go ahead and watch your receipt. But if you don't have a receipt, It's not like you're paying more than the original 200 anyways. I'm still paying the 200 shtar. I just lost out on the discount. So therefore, it's not a big deal. So Bishlam Abaylo Makarabi Yirmiyah Lake Tani Shavez. I understand why I didn't say the tears like Rabbi Yirmiyah, because it doesn't say over there that you write the receipt on the ksuba itself. Rabbi Yirmiyah Mataylo Amerikabai was the Gabai. Why should I write a receipt? It's like Zera Shaver the Hakalatu Shaver the Am. So because if we allow just a receipt in this case, then other cases of loans, then there might be a receipt. And in that case, once again, the lender could be collecting more money than he lent out, and it will come upon other issues. So Tama, the cost of law, sounds like he has to write on a shtar, yes, or she writes, right, the cost of late, right, that she writes for him, I received 100 of your, of the 200 zuz. But if it was just verbal, that wouldn't work. Still mine? This is only considered to be a monetary issue. And we have seen in other places, Rabbi Yehuda, he himself holds that something which is just merely money, that condition is good. A verbal stipulation. The time is good in the rice. So a man says to a woman, I'll marry you. However, the condition, I know you're desperate, and it's a right. It's a buyer's market, but I'm not going to provide you for clothing and support and relations. I'm not going to do any of that. She says, okay, I'm still in. So it works. The Tanai batal. However, the Tanai is batal. He's still required to go give those things to Rabbi Yehuda Amir. The Rabbi Yehuda we're discussing now, what does he say? Davar shemamam Tanai kaya. The monetary stuff, so not the relations from between man and wife, but the monetary stipulations such as the clothing and the support, Tanai kaya. That Tanai, that condition works even though it was al peh. So Rabbi Yehuda ksuba derabanan. So okay, so what's the teres? So Rabbi Yehuda held that ksuba is only derabanan. And therefore, the Rabbanan made more of a chizuk. In the case of the ksuba, we want 200s for the purpose that a woman, right, should not be divorced easily. So therefore, we're not going to make it, we're going to strengthen our gezerah. And therefore, even if you make a condition, okay, I'll give you 200. She's like, okay, I'll give up on 100. That doesn't work, right? It has to be written down. So therefore, we don't rely upon something which was only said. So the Gemara says, hare peros, the Rabbanan. But what are the cases of nichsei malug? Right? She brings in property, he's able to go ahead and eat the fruits during the marriage. And the Rabbanan, even though it's only the Rabbanan, they did not do a chizuk where a verbal stipulation would override the Tanai we learned in the Mishnah review. A person, right, a little confusing here as we'll soon see. A person can go ahead and eat the perots until he writes to her, or until Achi Yichtov, we'll see what that means. Right? I have no claims on any of your fruits. In other words, he's basically giving up on the claim on the fruits, the kaimalon, right? And conveniently, right? So what's the kash here? Seems like support. Yes, right. The kaimalon, my kaisev. What does it mean? Kaisev, Omer. It means he says, right? It's a little confusing because Kaisid is actually the opposite proof, right? But over here, where he says, if he just says on the Nichsei Malug, which is only the Rabbanan, I have no claim on your fruit. You can keep your fruit, Miss Wife, right? So such a case, it works. So what do you mean? That's the Rabbanan. I thought you just said the Rabbanan. We make chizuk. We strengthen the words of the Chachamim, and therefore no verbal claim or no verbal, testimony can override. Right, the takana is. So Gemara answers, everybody, every married woman, right, gets a ksuba, but not every case has nichsei malug where there are pairs to go any from, and therefore, therefore, something which is common, such as a ksuba, which is every case, the Rabbanan made a chizuk, and therefore you can't go ahead and just verbally state, I'm only going to go ahead and collect 100 of the ksuba. And however, something which is not as common, such as the nichsei malug, therefore, there is no chizuk in that case, and therefore something verbal would work. So Gora says, oh, wait, What about the case of the merchants, the donkey merchants, the guys who drive around on donkeys and sell their wares from town to town? And the Rabbanan did not make any chizuk there, and that's only the Rabbanan, as we'll see. That's now we go to Mishnah. We saw this earlier. You got the donkey drivers, these merchants. They enter the city. No one really knows them. Hey, mine are actually chadash, right? They're not. They're from they're from this year's crop. The weights, all right, until Pesach. But my friend Yasha, those are good fruits. Those you can eat now, or shali and sukkah. Not mine. I didn't think choose some ices yet. However, shachaveri and sukkah, my friend, right? His are better. Ein na'aman. They're not believed. Why are they not believed? Because what happened? Probably before they enter the town, they'll say, "Look, no one's going to buy from us." But if I tell them, right, that yours are good, right, and mine are bad, so if you say yours are good, no one's going to believe you. But if I say, despite the fact that I'm trying to sell, mine are bad, but his are good, so everyone's going to believe you then and buy the other person's, and then we'll split the profits. So therefore, right, and the next will flip. The next time will flip, right? So therefore, ain't that money. And Rabbi Yehuda Omer, that money. They are believed. So where's the chizuk there? So Rabbi Vada did the very mother of Rabbi Chizuk. Something which is Vada, right? In the case of the Ksuba, it's Vada. There is the Chizuk there. However, Safek, in the case of over here, when the merchants come, it's only a Safek as to whether it's Chadash or Yashan, right? We're not sure. Lo Yav the Rabban and Chizuk, Rabban did not make a Chizuk there. And Rabba gets different there, but Demai Kilo. Since this whole thing is Demai, right? Whether it's Shumas and Maisas, whether it's Masukan or not, therefore they were more Makel in general, and therefore that's the reason why Rabbi Yehuda says they are Neman. Fine. And then the Mishnah says, Rabbi Yehuda Amir Kol HaPoiches B'chulei, one who goes ahead and gives less is only Bilas Nus, so Kol HaPoiches Afilu B'tanai. So even if that was a stipulation, right? It doesn't say any basula that does not have either 200 amana. That's bilas nus. Right? It says something else, right? I'm just looking at Rashi for a second. That even though in the end, right, that she'll go ahead and collect, the Tanai is not fulfilled, right? Since in the beginning, right? So in the beginning, they made this they made this condition, right? Nevertheless, the condition doesn't work. Right? So even though where he wanted to go ahead and make this Tanai, but the Tanai doesn't work, and it's Bilas Nus, right? So Alma Ksavar Tanai Batal Isla, the cave of Amar La Leslach Elamana. Since he says, hey, here's 200, I'm only giving you 100. She does not really rely upon it, right? She's uncertain as to that, and therefore doesn't go in, with complete das. And therefore, she doesn't have, right, the mindset to be acquired, right, because she's not getting. It's not a fair trade, right? She's getting below market. So therefore, that's why the reason why it's considered to be las nus, because she's not really being nikudeshes, because he wasn't offering the full amount. So therefore, it doesn't work. So I must be the mayor to Amar Kol Maska Masha goes to Torah trial battle. But the Rabban Tanai Kayim. But something makes a person make a condition, something which is written in the Torah, that doesn't work. But something which is Derabanan, like a Ksuba, right? The Tanai Kayim, the condition should work. So Ksuba Rameir, Ksuba Deraisa. Rameir Masol, Ksuba's Deraisa. Since Ksuba's Deraisa, the Tanai, the condition he wants to set upon it says 200, I'm only going to give you 100 to it. And she's like, okay, sure. That Tanai is batal. And since that's batal, that's what he's offering, therefore the kedushin does not work, and therefore it's like bilas znus. And Tanya, we learned in the Brisa is machlekes. Whoever gives less to a basula than 200 and almana mana, harezu bilas znus. That's bilas znus. And Rabbi Yosi Aimer Rashai. Rabbi Yosi says a person can do it. Right, the condition does work. And Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Ratza Kaisa the Basula Shtar Shamasai, because he's Kabalti V'Chav Mana. No, if you want, this is what you do. You write a chart says 200. She says, okay, I received 100 from you. Or he writes to Almana $100 ksuba, and then she can say to him, or writes for him, I received 50 from you. The Saba Rabbi Yosi Rashai, and Rabbi Yosi says a person is permitted to go ahead and give less in the ksuba, and that's okay. You can't go ahead and make the ksuba for a woman to be paid for movable objects because of tikkun olam, right? Because of we want the ways of the world. We want things to work properly, and therefore, right, movable objects is not something which is not necessarily secure, and therefore we want to make sure she gets some real estate. What type of tikkun olam is there? They're not set movable objects, and they can go down. So what's Rabbi Yossi adding? So Tanakama Nami ain't icing kamar. What do you mean? The Tanakama says, right, you can't write less than the amount that's supposed to be. Or excuse me, he says you can't use movable objects because of tikkun olam, and Rabbi Yossi seems to go ahead and agree, right? Tanakama also says you can't make it from metalton. So what's Rabbi Yossi adding? To say when he doesn't go ahead, he can't use metalton when he doesn't take responsibility. I'll give you these movable objects, and if they're not worth a certain amount, then I guarantee it. About kibul of achrayus, I said. But if he's mekabel achrayus, right? If something happens to these movable objects, I'll make sure, right? Then you can have a lien against, all my assets. Right? Even if he is mekabel achrayus, why can he do it? Right? But they're not set amount, and they can diminish, right? And they can go away.
What is the achrayus?
Right, I guess against his assets, and I was of the metalton, either they spoil or they go missing or they go down in value, then he's a price. Over there, where there's only a chashash, right? It might go down in value or they might not be available. Rabbi Yossi, he's chayshish over there. He says, because of you can't do it over there. Rabbi Yossi says, right? Because tikkun olam, you can't do it. So hacha tevadek kapachsa l'kol over here, where he's certainly saying, hey, Miss Hamana, I'm only giving you a 40 zuz ksuba l'kol shkein. Certainly, there tikkun olam should stop that. So how could Rabbi Yossi say Rashai is so hachi hasha, you can't compare the two. Hasam la the tachya, right? Over there, she doesn't know unwillingly. She still thinks she's going to get the full amount of ksuba, and therefore uncertain. Hacha yada v'kamacha, right? But over here, she knows about it. It's up front. There's no questioning of whether it's going to diminish in value or whether these items will go missing. Rather, it's known. And if she is makabelet, then it's permitted. It's rashai. And one final case, Achted, the Rav Merchama, Havis Nasiva Rav Avia. So I guess the sister of Rav Merchama, so you married to Rav Avia, I guess the family of Rav Avia. Irchus, so Ksubasa, her Ksuba was lost. So also look at Rav Yossi, he said them Achim Rav Yehuda Mer Shmuel. Zaidi Rav Meir, this is the opinion of Rav Meir. Masha Adam as Ishta Hashem Shanim below Ksuba. So says Rav Meir, you have to go ahead. And you can't have relations, can't live with her without a ksuba. The Chavim seem to say that no, you can wait 2-3 years even without a ksuba. So really, because they rise up. But don't bring the Chavim that says you can stay around for 2 years, because any case of Rav Meir, when he has a zera, such as our case in our Mishnah, right? So therefore, every ksuba has to be the full amount. So too over here. His gzeira is that you need a ksuba. You can't wait a couple of years. So if that's the case, zil kasav law. Go ahead and write her ksuba because that is the gzeira of Rav Meir. All right, we'll stop here. Shkoyach, we will pick up and continue.